rich history of this place owes much to its geographical location. Located in the borderlands, the gateway from the Carpathian Mountains to the lowland plains, on the navigable Sand River, which of course created great trade opportunities. And that is why this town, Przemyśl, grew up. I'm standing here in the market square in Przemyśl at the beginning of our journey, a journey through history which takes us from the end of the Roman Empire to the end of the Second World War, a rich history of people, of buildings, of institutions. Join me on Poland Daily History as we see Przemyśl above ground and below ground. I'm here outside the marvellous railway station in Przemyśl, and I'm joined by Adam Karaś, who is a local tour guide. Adam, thank you for joining us. We're at the railway station. What impact did the coming of the railway in the mid to late 19th century have on the economy and of Przemyśl?
Building a railroad here was necessary for Austria-Hungarian government in order to enable connection between different parts of the monarchy and newly built fortress of Przemyśl. So during the second half of the 19th century, they introduced various connections between Kraków and Przemyśl and Lwów, or Leopolis. And furthermore, during 1870s, you could get from Przemyśl to Budapest. So it enabled economic development of this entire region, both building a fortress, but also connecting this fortress with other parts of the empire, especially with the Hungary.
Right, and I believe the Emperor of Franz Joseph actually visited Przemyśl several times.
He visited Przemyśl twice on a couple of occasions where there were imperial maneuvers here in the fortress. He was received in this train station, but also, as far as I know, also the Archduke Rudolf, who later killed himself in Mayerling, visited Przemyśl as well, and other members of royal family. And during the 1930s, so during the Second Republic of Poland, Romanian King Charles visited Przemyśl and was received as well here in this railroad station as well.
And so not only in terms of imperial defence and moving of troops, but presumably the coming of the railway also had an economic impact.
Absolutely so. With the creation of fortress here, they needed officers, they needed clerks, they needed all sorts of staff to run the offices that were necessary for the fortress to function. So yes, in that way, it enabled also to take goods from this region and export them into the monarchy, further into the monarchy.
Interesting. And of course, looking ahead slightly to the outbreak of the First World War, there's a British historian, A.J.P. Taylor, who always maintained that the reason we had the First World War was because of railway timetables. That once the Russians and the Austrians, and indeed the Prussians, had decided to mobilize, nobody could stop because the railway timetables it would have caused too much chaos. I mean, it's a rather interesting hypothesis. I mean, do you think something like that is possible?
I think so. I think the part of the failure of the Austrians in conducting the defense of the Eastern Front was that they didn't think that the mobilization on the Russian side would take so little time. They thought that the railroad net of connections in the Russian Empire was so little that they wouldn't be able to mobilize entire nation, entire army. So they thought that the Austrians would have enough time to mobilize themselves, which unfortunately proved to be wrong entirely.
So on this occasion, the Russians were more efficient than everybody expected,
yes,
with calamitous consequences.
They regarded Russia as a sort of backward country, especially after the Japanese War in 1905. But it wasn't the case, because Russia developed also rapidly after 1905. So they were able, like I said, to mobilize more quickly than Austrians and Prussians or Germans anticipated.
Excellent. Yes. Well, that's an interesting idea. Well, that's fascinating. I mean, it's a marvelous building, clearly reflecting the importance of Przemyśl, both I think as a military centre, as a fortification, as the chain of fortifications of the Austro-Habsburg Empire. But of course, in those days, if you were a king or an emperor and you were going to visit somewhere, they made sure you had a decent railway station.
Exactly.
And of course, a railway station which is fit to receive royalty. So I think we should probably now, at this point, go and have a look at the railway station inside in more detail.
Absolutely. I think it's very much worth seeing.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
That's great. Thank you. So we'll just go off into the sunset.